let's make do with this. Uh, Waya Obota Eteme. Okay. Good evening to all of you. Um, Today's topic is going to be very quite exciting. Sorry about the network problem. My audio, my audio is not loud enough. You let me know. I currently cannot see messages popping up. My admin, please follow up the messages. I think I'll use this other phone to monitor the messages that are popping up. Today is quite very interesting because we're going to be talking about very, very, very critical aspects of our history as a people, and we're going to be relating it with some recent trends. I remember that it was on Sunday morning that someone that sent me, today is making it a week, that someone has sent me a message by the Biafra people saying that they are no longer to be identified with the word Biafra and they should not be identified with the word Idu Nation. I was on my way from Lagos to Benin when I was told. I'm always with my laptop. I had to quickly type something which I called facts about Paidu. All right. In order for people to be abreast, we're not saying anybody shouldn't use the name of our forebears to form a nation that they wish to form. All right, but two things or three things are involved. They first of all will have to take permission from us before they can go ahead to use one of our fathers. I use the word one of our fathers because we've had an extensive intellectual discussion on this platform a couple of times where I've had to establish the concept of Paidu, where I had to say where Paidu was born. But what has eluded us before now was that who gave birth to Paidu? Who gave birth to Paidu? All right, it's a concept of our history that has eluded us for a while until about 2 weeks ago. Some of the works of some of our past notable historians, I was able to decode from the folklores and songs that have been passed from generations to generations about who was Paidu's father. All right, anybody can claim ownership of anybody, most especially civilizations that was built about the civilizations of the Edo people. Edo civilization is one of the most talked about civilization in the entire West Africa because we've been able to build something that is envied, something that other civilizations or other lesser civilizations lesser civilizations would have loved to have. I've always said to our people that we have history that is bested by none in this part of the world, and I will indulge or crave the indulgence of our people to use the history. If we can be able to use the history that we have to build a future for our people, it's the contest is now is the future. We have the history, not deniable. That is why Edo is always at the mouth of every passerby, everyone who wants to gain relevance, historical relevance to present day Nigeria, most especially Southern Nigeria must want to use Edo to shine. We understand that. We also must understand that we have drifted from the priority of our history to the figments of entertainment. A brother made a post about an Edo day, something that was going to take place on the 23rd of December in France. One of my respectable brother, a friend who would Oteme no who would do a lot. He understands what I stand for and understand what he stands for too. Quickly commenting, I said that we have seen a lot of Edo people denigrating and embarrassing us on social media. What the Edo people on diaspora have engaged themselves in is frivolity of entertainment. One wouldn't say that entertainment is not good. I am not saying that entertainment is not good. Why the reason why we criticize our money, I'm not criticizing those people who are happy. But what we are saying is that this is a time that our history has been best tried. And we need to put on our thinking cap and find solutions to a problem. So we feel ashamed of our people in diaspora, basically, because they've not been able to provide solutions to the inattitude of our people in diaspora. And then that's the point that they raised, that, for example, the Adeyinka godson, who has constituted nuisance for a while, was pinned down by the Yoruba diasporans. And how come the Edo people that is practically almost having the largest diaspora numbers has not been able to do something about those diaspora destitutes? Yet every day, every week, we continue to hear that this one is doing party, this one is doing an entertainment show, and this one is doing something. Say that we are comfortable with the problems. If anybody misbehaves and denigrates our people and is home-based, I receive countless of calls that Izoduwa or Rowa, there's nothing you've been able to do about having manity a bug, if you get why. But when you read a webo, why would darling man if you get do in diaspora? So we are all sleeping. Instead, we are more interested in frivolities of modern day what I would call societal misdemeanor. So we have to prioritize what is our problem. If you love a donation, you have to do something about it. There are a lot of destitutes that call themselves social media presenters. What have the adult people been able to do about those idiots in France, those idiots in Germany, those idiots in Italy, and all of that? What have the adult people been able to do that to bring those people to justice using the justice system of the countries that some of these people reside on? These are some of the issues that we should start reflecting on, basically, as a people, because it's no longer getting funny. So I'm inspiring, I'm speaking to our people today, having Maya and Niredo, to allow all of those non-important issues about fun, entertainment, and events. It's not necessary at this time where our history, our land, the progress of our people are being tried. Instead, we have to focus on what will bring once again, the greatness of our land. So all of those people constituting nuisance should be okay. Okay. Sorry, I said I've been told that my audio is not loud enough. Is it good now? Is my audio better? Okay, it's good now. So, uneven time. I'm actually shouting on the top of my voice. I think you people should get. So, we should stop dwelling on the frivolities of history, and let's face our work head on. Having said that, I wrote quick fact about Idu All right. Sorry, I can't follow your commentaries. All right. In my when so a network hour no ba. I digging a post, a comment name I make. So, but all I can say categorically is that some of these things are often at times I've wondered. Let me quickly say this: I've wondered why our people have prioritized frivolities over what is really eccentric to the growth of our land. First and foremost, um, um, propagandas are what our people love and not knowledge. I don't know why. People should be able to understand that what I spill out on my platform is supposed to inspire the generations to understand the very foundation of their heritage. Because I don't indulge in propaganda. All right, people who indulge in propaganda are being respected in the society. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. As you people have seen, I'm not been very constant. I've been very business wise. I'm more interested in the growth of my business nowadays, and I wouldn't apologize for that because our people have not been able to separate what is important to what is not important to them. The propagandas is what is very loud to our people. Propagandas are what interests our people, and I don't understand. I don't understand why, or people who who the entire essence of their living is steeped in culture and traditions get interested in things that are inimical to the growth of their land. It's quite very it's quite very bizarre to me. But however, like I always say, our people need to wake up. We've not been able to understand what is important to us and what is not important to us. But I thank those who have been following me for a while. I'm sure that those who have been following me for a while can be able to attestate that they have been able to learn a lot to teach other people around them of the essence of who they are. All right. Um, let's talk about Paidu. All right, the Biafra people have started and said that they own the concept of the Idu nation because the word has appeared in the syllables of the Biafra people. Well, when I publicized that work, it's opened a lot of other intellectual discussions, most especially from other people who share some old historical ties with the Gala people. And most of the stories have been pleasing. 10% of the stories have been pleasing. I like to put history in the right perspective and make people to understand basically who Paidu was. First and foremost, I've said if you followed about 3 series I've done about Paidu and his children, Archive and Emi, I've made it very clearly that Idu was born in present-day Edo land. So Idu couldn't have been from any other tribe. There is an extant folklore that substantiates that. This is what we rely on. Utogbe, Utalaka, Evaniana Bidu. This is a concept of what I've relied on. This is what our ancestors have passed on from generations to generations. I went further in one of the series to say that the Obas of the old were paying homage, not just the Obas, the Ugisos were paying homage to a priestly king that the Europeans of that time had referred to the great potentate of the interior. The great potentate of the interior. In about 1488, one of the most famous voyager. His name is called Bartolomeu Dias, a Portuguese sailor. Heard about the story of a king or a priestly king that the Obas of Benin paid homages to. He heard about it. He heard about the story. That story was as a result of the legends of what some of the Edo people passed, most especially Oba Okun, who was an ambassadorial representative of the Oba of Benin to the Portuguese monarchy, King John II. All right, he gave a report that at the installation of every Oba of Benin, they must go to a place to pay an homage to a king. All right, now there was a legend, if some of you are not aware of the legend of Presley King. All right, the entire Europeans are taught that as powerful as the Oba of Benin, who on earth would the Oba of Benin pay homage to, if not the legendary Presley King? But unknowingly to them that the Obas of Benin were paying homage to a man now regarded as the progenitor of the Edo people, called Idu, which the Europeans of that time as referred to as Ogene. There was a publication that was publicized by our Yoruba brothers a few weeks ago. I was so busy I couldn't attend to it. Thank God, Erimage, Mr. Paul, Dr. Paul Ibeneweka attended to. Some Urubos had said that one of the Obas of Benin was an Urobo person, and they called it Oriogene. Well, I want to shock our Urobo brothers that Ogene is not an Urobo word. It's an Edoed word. It's an Edo word that is still commonly used, but not commonly. It's still sparingly used amongst the Edo people. One of the appellations of the Oba of Benin is Obiogen and Nuhe. I've challenged a lot of Benin historians before now and after now that Uhe, that was referred to in the history recorded by our forefathers, all right, and also being told or being documented by the Europeans, has nothing to do with Yoruba land, has nothing to do with Ile-Ife of present, has everything to do with present-day Kogi State. I have said it a million times that the appellation Oriogen and Nuhe, nobody is referring to it, to anybody in Osun State. It's Paidu that is Ogen and Nuhe. So when Oba of Benin is being referred to as Oriogen and Nuhe, it's being referring to the son of Paidu. I've said it severally. People, for whatever reasons, don't want to take the historical correction or historical mistakes some of the earliest historians of Benin has made. We have no historical inclination towards Osun State until the eras of the Calaveran. What we've had, the relationship that we have had with the Uhe people has transcended beyond 10,000 years. And that was Paidu. So it is rather very misleading for people who do not know their history beyond 2,000 years or 3,000 years to now tell us the Edo people, whose history has been well documented beyond thousands of years, to say that they own Idu because it is being referenced, it's been acknowledged by their people. So Paidu couldn't have been a small personality. Otogbe Otalaka. Evania na bidura meo, Evania na bidura meo, Evania na bidu. That is the folklore of the Edo people. The Edo people had understood that Idu was born, but for an extant years, people really did not know who gave birth to Idu, and I went further to say that the father of Idu is called A. A means gain, means profit. Women. Baby need there. Gain, profit. What's the father of Idu? He was a founder of Hundu. I've always asked a question that nobody has been able to answer. A few weeks ago, I asked a question. Explain. I asked a question. Now, what is the origin of the word Ota or Mai? Nobody has been able to answer. Dr. Paul Igbeneweka attempted to answer what it means. Literally, what it means is Ota or Mai, evening tide or evening tide, favored A. The question was, who is that A? A lot of people had mistook A for Gisoe or A. That was not true. There was an A that has been part of the very beginning of our history. Long before we started having kings in our land, God kings in our land. And that A is the founder of a place called Idum. Coincidentally, thousands of years later, Ogisoe also moved the palace to a place that was established by the A of that old. And that A of that old is the father of Paidu. But like I said, in those facts, because Idu was a prominent figure, the chroniclers of our history, the Ugoron, devised a means of starting a recorded history of our people from the time of Idu and not transcending it beyond. They find A and making Idu as a personality. Would we understand the concept? Do we understand the concepts? A is the father of Idu. But Idu played a remarkable role in the history of our people that made historians of the old allude that Idu is the founder, is the progenitor of the Edo race. But even in the folklore, the stories that was passed down from generations to generations have been able to tell us the relevance of A to Paidu. Paidu left Edo land and became a priest king, or a priestly king at Uhe. Now get it. Uhe is not really a place. Uhe is more of an ideology. Get it? Uhe is not really a place. Uhe was more of like an ideological civilization. Everybody, the Igbos, the Yorubas, name a lot of ethnic groups that are existing, the Nupe, the Ibira, the Gala, all right? They all traveled, all right? They all traveled to a place all of them collectively founded, all right, and they called that place Uhe, like the beginning, like a place of abode, like the beginning. Uhe became a home for ethnicity, or multi-ethnic civilization. Uhe was not founded by the Benin people alone, was not founded by the Igala people alone, was not founded. It became an ideology. You know, it's just like I am from Lamogun family. I left. A Lamogun family representative, a Laisho family represented, a Laveze represented, a Laire, a Lamosun, a Laogele, you know, all of them coming together to form an ideology. That ideology do not belong to only Lamogun family, no, do not belong to only Laisho family. It belongs to everybody who have become a place like a melting pot of various civilizations that nobody in the extant history can make claimacy to. All right. Each of these various ethnic groups produce kings and rulers that administered over the people. The Benin people produced their own leader, and they are the first leader of the Uhe. Ideological civilization. I'm using the word ideological civilization because I don't want to call it a place. All right? The first people to produce the leader of that Uhe was the Benin people, and his name was Idu. Idu became the first king or the first ruler of a civilization that was formed by multi-ethnicity. So being that the Edo people, the Benin people, the Igodomigodo people, or the Idu people was able to distinguish that this man is from their own ethnic group, they built a shrine for him. And that shrine, they call it Ogene Nuhe. Ogene is an Edo word that means someone in place of authority, a godlike figure. I've explained this 1,000 times. A godlike figure, not God. You don't get, not God. The Yoruba people assume that Ogene is God, but the original idea or the original meaning of Ogene is not God. It's a godlike figure. So, to my Yoruba brothers who feel that Ogene is an Yoruba word, you're wrong. Ogene is all of our word. Ogene is an Edoed word. It therefore means that the Benin is a Benin word, is an Yoruba word, is an Isoko word, is an Ikwere word. It's all of the Edo and its descendant word. And it means someone in the place of authority. And that it was an appellation that the Edo people at that time at Uhe gave to their own leader called Idu. Someone in place of authority. A godlike figure. Because they looked at him, they reverenced him, they looked at him like a god. So they built a shrine for him. And that shrine was regarded as Ogen Enuhe. And every Ogisos were regarded as Ogen Enuhe, the sons of Paidu. Ogen Enuhe means Idu. I've always told the Benin people, it's just that they don't get to listen. They don't get to listen, and that's why the Igbos and the Yorubas use our history for propaganda. I've always said it. That's what it means. Ogene does not mean God. Ogene means a godlike figure. Just like the Oba of Benin, we refer to him as God representative on earth, and that's what Ogene means. God is Osa. Ogene is a God representative. But people need to listen. I might not repeat this topic in the next 6 months or 1 year, so listen. We have to learn what Ogene means. Ogene, when the Oba of Benin is being regarded as Oyogen and Uhe, it therefore means that it's been what it means when you translate it. It means that the son of Paidu at Uhe. And that Uhe has nothing to do with Ile-Ife. The families that greet Lauhe, I'm telling you today, the Uhe that you greet, Lauhe, has nothing to do with Ile-Ife. In Osun State. That is why Professor Obayemi, one of the renowned Yoruba historians, said that witch of the Ife. Like one of my Gala friends told me this morning, that Ife is different from Ile-Ife. According to the Galas, Ife is also regarded as Uhe in their own language. But in our language, we have maintained the originality of that word, Uhe. That is where, at the time we had issues in our present-day Edo land, we migrated, we became our home for hundreds of years before we returned back. So some of our Gala people, that one of 2 or 3 of our Gala friends, they were trying to say that the Benin people came from Uhe. And I was, no, you are wrong. We didn't come from Uhe. In the first instance, Uhe is not a place. It's not owned by anybody. It's an geological civilization. People came from different multifacets of the world, most especially in sub-Saharan Africa, and they came to form a civilization that is bounded by an ideology of survivor. All right, nobody owns Uhe. But because Uhe became very spiritually dear to the Edo people, subsequently, when we now stabilized in our Edo land and I had kings, some of these kings, in order to maintain the purity and spirituality of their existence, continually traveled to Uhe to propitiate at the shrine of Paidu. And every year, or at every end of the Ogen and Uhe had a priest. The Benin's called Azama. And I went further in the facts of Idu for you to understand that the lineage of the Oloton are direct lineage of the Azama, who was one of the chief priests. It's just like the way Oni is as a chief priest to Izoduwa. Just like Azamanuhe was a chief priest to Paidu. So he was regarded as Azamanuhe, the chief priest to the shrine of Paidu. So when it became uncomfortable, when Uhe started having a lot of these people who came together in the first place, all right, to form that civilization, now begin to emigrate, now begin to leave, Uhe now declined. And it was no longer convenient for the Obas of Benin to pay tribute and homage to that shrine. Instead, what Oba Ozolua the first now did, who was the last Oba of Benin that visited Uhe for a pilgrimage, what he now did, he now built a replica of that Uhe shrine. He now built a replica of that, what's it called? He built a replica of that shrine that was built for Paidu at Uhe. He then named it Ehimidu, because it was no longer convenient. It's just like if it's no longer convenient. Hold on. let me say that I don't really like now. Okay. Oh, okay. You know the bad man. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. When Nigeria here now, I'll tell you back. But never mind. Man, on my distance so that just in case I take light, we should still be alright. Okay. Mode. Let me use this. Okay, like I was saying, because it was no longer convenient for the people of Uhe, all right, for the people of the Edo people. So a replica of that shrine was built in Benin, and it was called Eimidu. Eimidu now became the royal deity of the Edo people. So it's a very interesting thing for us to now talk about the genesis of our history, because it's getting to a time. Thank God some of us are very much equipped, even if we don't get to talk about it all the time. But please, let us pay attention and open our head to understand it. Paidu was born in Benin, in a place called Otalaka, Otobe. There was a natural catastrophical phenomenon. There was a flood that even in the world historian that recorded it as the post-Adamic cataclysm, the flood almost ruined the entire world. The Benin people experienced it. They needed to leave because we are close to the Atlantic shores. We're close to the water body. We needed to move up north, the present-day Nigeria. We needed to move up north, the present-day Nigeria, so as to survive the post-atomic cataclysm. We're not the only people who moved. The Yorubas moved. The present-day Yorubas moved. The present-day Igbo people moved. Everybody moved. The Nupe people moved. The Gala people moved. And we met in a place which we all collectively had named Uhe. We all collectively had named Uhe. It became an ideological civilization of survivor because we needed to survive. We found a place that we all can cohabitate as a people. We all can cohabitate as a people. And that place was called Uhe. Nobody owns it. But the first ruler or the first leader of everybody that eventually came together was chosen from the Edo people, and his name was Idu, our father. And it was that Idu who eventually died and was buried at Uhe, but he was not born there. He was born in Edo land. He was never born there. He was the one who led his people up north. All right? He was the leader of our people, and that's why history remember him very well, more than even his forebears. We must get this fact very cleanly. We must get this fact very clearly. He died there. A shrine was built for him, and a chief priest was given. And that chief priest was called Azama, the present Olotons of Benin. After he reigned and he died, his people had built, he had children. It became very unstable because all the tribes produced leaders who wanted to sort of, I don't want to go through deep, wanted to exterminate the Edo people, most especially Paidu's sons. The Idu children and his relatives had no choice, knowing fully well that the flood has rescinded, needed to travel back to their lands. But don't forget, all of these, there was already cross-fertilization of ideas between all of these distinct ethnic groups. So Uhe is the melting pot of various ideological civilizations. So if anybody is now claiming Idu, that they are Idu, that means they are Benin, because Idu is Benin and Benin is Idu. So we must pay attention to these very important details of our established ancestor, to our established progenitor. Idu Atokbe. Idu is the father of every Benin man, Benin woman, and their descendants or its descendants. Not because it was the first man that God created and all of that. It is the first person that the history could visibly recognize as an Idu person, as a Benin person, as an Idu person, as an Igodomigodo person. And that's why it is convenient for the ancient keepers, the Uwaron people, the chroniclers of our history called the Uwaron people. They were able to keep that history that was passed down from generation to generation. I've been talking for 36 minutes. I'm already having a headache. Can't really shout. I'm already having a headache. You know, I sang a song. I wish I'm a good singer. I would have been able to sing in a lot of these songs. Ogi, so you hell. I need later on documented a lot of these songs. Are folklet songs. Okay. Ohen also sang a song about Ogi, so you hell. You know, I think I sang it the other time. Okay, kuhere, omonosia iwana ona hubi uhe, not Ileife. The Beninese understand clearly the difference between uhe and Ileife. It's also very funny that our people now begin to mistake and they do it proudly. The Beninese understood, could not have mistook Ileife for uhe. It was too visible. The Ogisos of the old never traveled to present-day Osun State, or the Ile-Ife of Osun State was not existing in the times of the Ogisos. They didn't travel there. They traveled up north. The history was passed down from generations to generations. That at every August or October every year, that the nobles and the king must go on a voyage, a pilgrimage to a place. It didn't start from the Obas. It started from days of Ogiso. Starting from Ogiso A. So it couldn't have been in Ile-Ife. Ile-Ife wasn't in existence at that time. The Benins have never had any interactions, notably recorded by any historian, both in Yoruba and Benin at that time of history. So there was a place that the Benins used to travel to that was never in present-day western part of Nigeria or southwestern part of Nigeria. Let this guy not off this journey. Just a minute. Sorry. So, like I was saying, then why do we not mistook? It's a question I've been asking. People should give me answers. Okay. Anyway, I've said my own. Sorry, network. So, like I was saying, it is quite very appalling for us to now be in a place where we no longer understand some of this history. So, like I've said, Idu Paidu is Benin and Benin is Paidu. I don't know why our people would have sounded so ignorant not to have acknowledged what Idu people, what Uhe represent in the history, in the canons of history of our people. I will end it there. Sorry, I'm not seeing your question, so I will not be able to answer some of the questions that is being currently asked. Apologize for that. Sorry, network. But however, um, apologize. I'm trying to look some of the questions that have been currently being asked. Okay, my brother, sorry, I'm reading from here, from the other of my phone. Oviedo Bataki, why are the Igbo saying that they are the Idu people? I don't know why the Igbos are saying that they are the Idu people. They are obviously very confused. They're not abreast of their history. They couldn't have been Idu people when they are referred to us historically as Onyi Idu. All right, they couldn't have been. Are you listening? They couldn't have been Igbo. They couldn't have been Idu people when historically for years, hundreds of years, when they have referred to us as only Idu, the Idu people. So at one point in time, the Igbos acknowledges that we are Idu people. At what time in history did that change? Variously, invariably, very confused. All right, invariably, they're very confused. Sorry, I'm not seeing your questions. Otherwise, I would have been taking to. I'm just trying to read some of them, but I won't be able. I'll get distracted. Like I had two topics that I want to deal with. I don't want to not deal with the other topic. So instead, I'm going to. I'm going to. Instead, I'm going to go to the other topic. Okay, said my voice is low. Instead, I'm shouting. I don't know why my voice is low though. Okay, I'm going to be dealing with another topic. Like I said, like I said before now, that I'm going to be taking two topics per Idu. I think I've talked about it. It's something that we'll keep talking about. If you have any questions about it, once I'm done with this live video. I'll go back and talk about. I'll go back and talk about. But now let me deal with the other topic. Someone sent me something. My friend, my brother, Cash, I've forgotten his name on Facebook. I've forgotten his name on Facebook. He said that our Esan brothers and has always said that they beheaded Ozolua, Niba that they beheaded or they killed. I don't know, but he used the word beheaded by Onoji of Uromi. Well, that is true and that is wrong. That is true and that is wrong. Well, I don't think it's anything for anybody to be proud of. I don't think it's anything anybody to be proud of. Okay, can I join the video, sir? Yeah, sure. How do I invite people for videos? Okay, I think that's it. Okay, add. Okay, I'm trying to add you now. We are Dok Bataki. I don't think it's anything anybody should be proud of, even if that story was either true or what is that. Okay, Otem. Hello.
Yes.
Is it good? We are Dok Bataki.
Hi, Paloma.
Okay. If you wanted to join the video, call Otem.
Yes. Samosa.
Call. Wimagwan.
Pa Egu because Mengwa Zedu Kakabo. Yeah.
Maenuta, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. It's good now. One here.
Okay. The story concerning about say the Esan killed Oba Ozolua in Esan land during the battle between Esan and Benin. I would like to know more about the story.
That's just it. Only in the Agwan kind. Only in the Agwan kind.
Okay.
That's what I want to talk about now. I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay. About the part Idu too. The Igbos are actually saying that they are the two people that they own the land of Benin. That during those time, in our ancestors' time, that our ancestors forcefully took over the land for them. Took the land from them. So I would like to know more if that story is true or not.
All right. While I've answered that question in Nugwan Kaini on Paidu being claimed by the Igbo people. That's not true. Like I've said, even the Igbo people refer to us as Onyindu.
Yes.
Therefore, Idu people. So they couldn't have been Idu and now refer to us as Idu people. And
are the people of Igodomigodo that they also own the land?
Okay, no problem. All right, I will answer then. I will answer the question now. Okay, I have to end that. They don't, first and foremost, they don't own the land. They don't even own any priest. According to their history, they came from Israel. When you come from Israel, you don't own any of these lands. Even the Edo people, we have history that can be older that even the Israelis, all right, that can be older than even the Israeli, all right. But one thing that is certain you must understand is that Igbo Yanya Tedo, all right, it's just propaganda. As for um, Mary Atai, as for the other one regarding Oba Ozolua, and that's what I want to talk about. I don't think it's a big deal historically to talk about that history. I don't know why it's a big deal to some of our Esan people to stress on the issues that are not big deals. Quite all right, Oba Ozolua was shot with a poisonous arrow at Uzea. Okay, and Peter, do worry. Yes, let me grant you now. I think my throat is getting sore. I've been talking for too long. Okay, Peter, do worry. Let me add you. Okay. All right, I'm adding.
Hello.
Hello,
Uh-huh.
Mr.
Uh,
Peter, do worry.
I would like to contribute to it because if my brother just asked a question just now about the Esan or Idu, the Igbo claim to be Idu. I hope people can hear me. You can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So, if in the Bible, according to when Igbo said they came from Israel, in the Bible, the Israel are the even almost the last children because the pastor doesn't teach many people truth of life. When some people were tracing histories that we came from Egypt, I said, well, if you trace our history to Egypt, I will tell you we are Abraham direct descendant. If you trace it to Egypt, we were Abraham direct descendant. That is why we circumcised. Because Abraham did not have 2 children. Abraham has 7 children. And they are in Genesis 15. Abraham has 7 children. But what we hear from people is 2 children. Abraham gave birth to Ishmael, this and that. And Abraham has 7 children. Because after the Isaac and Ishmael, he married another woman that gave birth to 5 children. And nobody, no preacher ever said that in the Bible. That is why before the white man came to our land, we circumcised. So we had the direct contact to God already before any other people start generating. So if people want to go through the Bible, I will put it that way. Then, if really we want to go to the other side that say Idu, we are the originator of Edo land, my brother, that is completely what people did not understand. Otogbe, Ote Alaka, Ayana Bidu, that means Ogbe land has been there and Alaka land has been there before Idu was born. Left from not just because Ezomo came to fight for his brother. No, they were origin of a place before going to Esan land. Hello?
Go ahead, I can hear you. Hello?
What is deny Edo? They deny Benin. You deny your father. How is that possible? You can deny this is my brother, but you cannot deny this is not my father. Because father is the origin.
So I needed to Mr. Peter Oduwari. Mr. Peter Oduwari, sorry, I had to end that call. The network was bad. And first and foremost, I understand the angle you were speaking from. First, that's what I was also stressing on. Idu is not the founder of the Edo people. It is our recognized founder. The history had already talked about that even Idu was born. And I went further to say that it was his father's name was A. So the history of the Edo people has transcended beyond Idu. But Idu became a personality that is worth to note, that is huge, all right, that is recognized, and he was not given the founder personality, but he was actually never the founder. One cannot really tell who founded the Edo people. The Edo people has always been here, created by God himself from President Lola. So it therefore means that Alaka Ogbe had been here from Itebite. Itebite means for eternal. I've been here for since people could record history. All right. So all right, I think that's what I can really derive from what Ipa Peter Oduwari had said. This is not supposed to be a topic, please, my brother. Well, I don't know what you are referring to, Prince Gregory, Daniel. I don't know what you referred to that. But what I was saying as regards the Oba Ozolua being killed, I'm not a propagandist. I don't get involved in ethnic rivalries and all of that. A lot of people ask me that question. I wanted to just proffer solutions to it. Well, I don't think that it is worth discussing basically that Oba Ozolua truly, I'm not shy from history, whether it's convenient for some of our people or whether it's not convenient for some of our people. Oba Ozolua was truly shot with a deadly poisonous arrow at Uzea. And he didn't die at Esan land. He died at Irwa and was buried at Obe. All right, was buried at Obe. All right. But people could take pride in that part of our history, but really do not know the preceding history before what had transpired of Oba Ozolua. To be sincere, Oba Ozolua is not an Oba that I really like because of his because he never really understood brotherhood. I would not I would not I would not blame him that too much, because at the time Oba Ozolua became the Oba of Benin, Benin had already become a republican city. Had already become a republican city. Don't forget, after Oba Ozolua the first died, Ezotu became Oba. He reigned for 7 days. He passed on Olua. Oba Ozolua didn't reign for long. Then they tried to install Princess Ideleyo and all of that. Then it took, the Benins were left without Oba. People don't talk about that story for about 3 years before Zorana accepted to become the Oba. By the time he came, the people who fought war with his father, the likes of Idu of Igodomigodo, this powerful warlord at the man that almost defeated the man that almost defeated Oba Ozolua at Egma, one of the Enogi of Egma. We have Eriaria, who is not named after Eriaria. We had we had Akenisi, we had Ezuku, we had Ovaoto, Nigeduma. We had warlords that fought. Okay, Okwai was no longer alive at that time. We had warlords that fought during the time of his father. So when he became the Oba, he had those warlords already creating territories within the empire for themselves as the king. So he needed to conquer them so that they can be subservient to him. All right, the two most difficult of the wars that he fought, the three most difficult wars that he fought was with the Iriaria, a woman. Okay, he also fought with Isen, he fought with Egbai. He almost lost that war with Egbai. The most difficult was Enekiridi, Nobelaka. Then after he had conquered all of those wars, he was able to re-augment the Benin Empire as it were. He was fearsome. He didn't, by nature, he wasn't interested in peace. He was always interested in war. He wasn't interested in peace. He was interested in war. All right. At that point in time, he wanted to fight every other place. So he had asked a question: where I have fought every war fightable. I have fought every war fightable. Where is the place that I will have to fight that I will lose? He was told Uzea. Why? You must understand this story. The Edo people must open their ears to open the story. I talked about the precedents of history that led to his defeat at Uzea. Two things defeated Ozolua at Uzea. It has nothing to do with Esan people. It was already predestined that he would lose that war. When Oba Ozolua first had lost, I think I've talked about this story, this history before. When Oba Ozolua first had lost two of his sons the same day, Izoduwa and Oba Ozolua, he couldn't sire other children. He couldn't sire other children. All right, until a medicine man who came from Uzea gave medicine for him to sire the three other sons, that all of the three other sons eventually became the Obas of Benin, Ezotu, Olua, and him. Now, when they gave him the medicine, when they give Oba Ozolua the first medicine to give birth to Prince Obama, and every rain fell. I've said the story 1,000 times. and every ray failed. And the Uzea, native doctor, gave a prophecy to Oba the first that whoever son that he uses this medicine to give birth to will one day in the future wage war against the Uzea people, and he will defeat the Uzea people. Oba the first was not comfortable with the verdict and the prophecy of the native daughter that had made it possible for him to give birth to his later children. So Oba made a prophecy at that instant, and he said, any of my son that dare wage war against the Uzea people, for the gift that the Uzea people had given to me by making it possible through one of their sons for I to give birth to other sons, he will go and never return to Benin. So there was a prophecy of death by Y upon any of his children that dare wage war against Uzea. So the fate of Ozolua was sealed that day. It has nothing to do with the Uzea people. Ozolua waged more war than his father. He had only one nickname, Nibaomiekon, the conqueror. He fought more war than even his father, Ewa the first. To be true, fought more war than Oba Ewa the first, nicknamed Ogidigan. It was called Nibaomiekon, the conqueror. Onibaromi. All right? So there was already an instant prophecy against him as to what will happen. So at the time of Ozolua became a warlord, had fought more wars, had fought several wars. He had won all of those wars. He came and said, one of his jesters told him, Iyino nera yewa iya yedo uga Uzea umyu ya yedo. He now said, Yera Uzea yerare. It was just a matter of pride. He had said, I will go to Uzea and come. He had asked, because of his high-handedness, that where would I go? I've fought all wars. I've seen it all. I've conquered it all. Where would I go that I know that the war would be difficult for me to fight because I need to fight more war? Every other wars that I fought were very easy for me to fight. And someone told him, the jester, one of his jesters in the royal court told him that there's a prophecy that if you go to Uzea, you will not come back. And they said, that is the kind of war. I love that kind of challenge. I want to go there and see whether I will go and I will return back. On his way with his soldiers, when he got to Irua, there was a powerful prophet, or priestess, not prophet, sorry. There was a powerful priestess and that told him, Ozolua, ege Uzea, ewa kunkunwei, uga Uzea, wumi ya sedo. The powerful priestess already had told Oba Ozolua that his umbilical cord was taken from Benin because of the prophecy his father had many years back to be planted at Uzea, that if any of his sons ever dare, in short, Ezoti, Olua, Ozolua, umbilical cords were all planted at Uzea. They were never planted in Benin, to ensure that the prophecy of their father, that any of his sons dare to carry war to Uzea, they will never come back. Ozolua took that war out of every entreaties not to go. He went to Uzea. He fought that war and he won, according to the prophecy of the medicine man, the native daughter, that this son will come to my land and conquer me. Two prophecies were presided. One by the native daughter, He said that he will come and conquer. This is what our Esan brothers will never talk about. Ozolua went there, one that was quelly, but there was another counterproductive prophecy that said he will never return. At the height of his victory, listen, at the height of his victory, suddenly his soldiers that have stood by him and fought with him for decades, for years, grew weary, grew annoyed of the incessant war that Ozolua has fought all the years, wars that were uncalled for, wars that were not necessary, wars that were not important. And they said that if we keep on, if we have this king to keep on ruling over this vast empire, we will continue to fight war for the rest of our lives. Instead, some of the warriors of Oba Ozolua plotted a coup. I know I never said that if I get to this point of history, I will just eat Taifua, but let me just go ahead and say there's nothing big deal. Planted a coup with the Uzea warriors and told him that Ozolua by nature is a very strong medicine man. Nothing can ever defeat him. That is because of Ewu. I can't remember in Edotie, no Muyo. It's the clothes that he put on is well saturated with medicine that nothing can defeat him. But his weakest point is that whenever he takes whenever he wants to take his bath, that is his weakest point. At that point, he will pull off all of this medicine that protect him from losing. He said, by the time he's about to take, they were telling the Uzea warriors that were fleeing from the war zone, that at the point he's about to take that bath, because it is the weakest point, he will fortify his military troop 5 times over, because he knows it is at his weakest point. And there is a particular drum that the Benin warriors will play. And when they play it, that is, he's about to take his bath. So every of his military officers must be at alert, because they know that is when their king is at his weakest point. He said, at that time, when you hear this, they showed them, they sort of described or explained the sound of the drum, how it sounds like to the fleeing Uzea warriors. That at that time, when you hear that sound, that is when you will strike. And that's exactly what happened. Ozolua was about to take his bath. That band was the Uzea warrior had approached. Now, most of the warriors that were supposed to protect Oba Ozolua had betrayed him. All right, betrayed him. There was already an extant prophecies that said that he would not come back. Or at the time they had allowed the Uzea warrior, one of the Uzea warrior, to shoot a deadly arrow that penetrated his skin. He was shot with a poisonous deadly arrow, but he never died at Uzea. So they knew when he was shot that he would not survive that shot. They ensured that he doesn't survive it. They had to quickly rush him down to Benin. On their way to Benin, exactly when they got to Irwa, exactly where the woman, the priestess, had made that same prophecy, I told him. He died. And he was brought to Benin and was buried amongst his forefathers. So, which I feel it happened, yes. It was the people who had shot Oba Ozolua with a poisonous arrow that led to his death. We never have denied that history. It is not a shame for us. There was already a prophecy by his father that it will happen. So it is not a shame for us. But if some of our people, misguided people, now rub it in our face that they defeated one of our kings, I don't see it as a big deal, because the Oba of Benin was also their Oba, so they have defeated their own Oba. So I take all of those things as frivolities of history. They don't catch my attentions because they are never really important. So we shouldn't be carried away. We shouldn't be carried away by the frivolities of history. I haven't said this something. I said Uzea people. We shouldn't be carried away by the frivolities of history. They are not important. If anybody sees that they are important, that they defeated Oba Ozolua, oh well, that's not a big deal. So that means they defeated one of their own. It's not a big deal. To me, it's not a big deal. So you win some, you lose some. But it wasn't a war that was lost. It was betrayed by his own soldiers. And he fed to the caprices of his own high-handedness. And that's what played out. Otherwise, why would he have waged war against his own people in the first place? Well, if he did, and he had a judgment of his own ancestors, and so be it. I don't think that is even important. That is even anything that any adult person should grovel about or be soured about. Even Bavorame was also defeated, so there's nothing to grovel about. All right, so it's not anything for us to grovel about. So, to me, or issue that are not important to me, I just feel they are not important to me. But since it was asked, I needed to just throw some light on that. So that's what played out. That's what played out. Okay, I've been talking for an hour, 16 minutes. So that's what played out. So it shouldn't be a big deal. Shouldn't be a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. It shouldn't be a big deal. So if any of you want to come and talk, just let me know so I can bring you all so that you can say one or two. Well, I don't want to disagree. I don't want to disagree with what your father told you, Miss Prince Obi. And so I was in your village, your community today, a war mama. Actually, I was in your community today, a war mama. I wanted to establish one of my estates there. So, but maybe you and I will talk later, Prince Obi. Okay. All right. Let me add you, Mr. Prince. Okay. Prince David. Okay. Add. Okay. Don't mind my network. My network is not that good, Nigerian network. But let us have Prince.
Good evening, my brother. I'm from Benin. What are you doing?
Call time.
Call me here. Uvie wai ogidigan. Uvie ozura ni ba omieku. Obogi jeme. Ibene wai obiyan. Why obogi rame be wu ozolua obiyan. So from your story, let me use English. So from the storyline you gave, it was actually the true story. That was what I was trying to come out and also share out to the people. But the name you call him, the name was called that time. That time there was a problem already in Benin. After the killing of Inegbigidi, Nugbilaka. They were now calling him Ozolua. Ni Barao, Nemekwoma. Ozolua, ni Barao, Nemekwoma. Because at that time they said there were a lot of wars that was not really called for, that Ozolua was waging war. He was like somebody who loved blood, who want to see war. That's the reason why the Benin make a parable that says, Oba Ozolua ebetu. Because Ozolua had no tolerance of pardon, of to forgive anybody which he consider enemy.
True.
Even when that person try to plead or not, or plead or do some other things, he will not still forgive. And that same Uzea was the place which the native doctor, because right on time, the Benin and Esan have always been one people. There have been no division between Benin and Esan. Although they left the Benin Empire, but they are even the Okbota is an Esan man. Orokbota was named after an Esan man, Ukbota. So when you see the youth of today coming out with all kind of propaganda story to destroy their own ancient ancestral story, is very painful. And I'm very happy having somebody like you. Having somebody like you who sacrifice a lot to bring back all the lost ancient knowledge. Africa, we are all marching into darkness. Because if you don't learn your history, you will never know where you are going to. Because where you are going to go, you want to adopt another alien history. So the alien result, you are going to face it. Example, the Benin has a wall that was built around Benin that would have been fetching us millions upon millions of dollars every year. If only we have a reasonable people who could build something like Uban, I don't know how they call it in English, a train that will be driving around the circle of that moat to see how deep and the engineering and the architectural work the ancient people did to face a whole kingdom. Who can face a kingdom these days? If you leave the Benin of today to build that same moat, 100 years they will not do it. People who cannot even tie road, that they will be able to build such a moat that around a city. So it is painful that a lot of us, we don't want to, we westernize ourselves. Like to me, I'm more of the power people that who normally advocate that Abraham is not my ancestors. And I cannot be the bloodline of Abraham because every family has its own family tree. Your bloodline is what you transfer to your children. You cannot go and take a bloodline of another man from Arab country to give to your child. Meaning that child is not your child. If it's your own biological child, he carry a blood after you. Your DNA code is what is running on the body of that child. That has nothing to do with religion. Knowing God is by your good work and by faith. God, if you want to know God, does not mean if you are Olokun server, you don't know God. You can be serving Olokun and you know God. Because all these things we see today are all elements that work with God. Both the water, both the rain, like the Christian